Hey there. So this next video is about GitHub and a little bit more advanced. In particular, this video is going to involve talking about the movement of information from the online GitHub to the local environment and how you might want to go back and forth between the two and why you might want to. A little bit of housekeeping at first. Let's go ahead and make sure that one thing is turned on in your Finder window. I'd like you to go to your Finder. Under the View option, please make sure your path bar is turned on. That's a really useful navigation to have up as we look at the structure and code of these projects. That's super useful. So, and I keep mine on the column view. You may have yours on the icons or a different view, but if you want yours to match mine, I am using column view. Okay, so there's a couple different ways we can get information that's online in GitHub to our local computer. And I'm going to turn off these drives so they don't make noise. So we can bring those to our local computer and do neat things with them, like build a loop app or run auto-tune as a one-off, or those kinds of things. We can bring those to our computer and use them. The simplest, easiest way to get code to your computer from GitHub is to just download. You click on the clone or download button, you click on download zip, and it downloads to your downloads folder on Apple. Or a different one if you have it specified, but let's say you have it in downloads, you get loop-dev. And the -dev is because I was on the branch, the dev branch, when I clicked on the download button. If I was on master and I downloaded zip, let's do that as an example, it would now download a folder called loop-master, and I would be able to see all the same files here as what's shown on here. And for another example, you could do RF0 if you're an Open APS user, and you can pull all of the underlying code in for that. So on loop, why you would bring it down is because you're going to build. You need that code on your computer for Xcode to be able to assemble and compile the app onto your phone. For RF0, you don't really need it on your computer. It actually goes on your Edison, but I've found reasons that it's helpful to have RF0 on my computer for the search function alone. For example, if I want to edit the aliases, so the little shortcut commands, if I wanted to edit that file or add something and I wasn't sure where it was in the file structure, it's really difficult to search on GitHub to find a particular command. But if you move it to your computer, it's very easy. Just click on the folder. Let's say you wanted to edit the edit Wi-Fi command. You can click on that, and you'll see that it pulls up the file that actually stores that edit Wi-Fi command, and you can see exactly where it is if you have your show path turned on. You can see that it's in RF0 master, the bin folder, and then RF log shortcuts. So you could go online and you can go to the similar file, which is log shortcuts, and you can see there's the file. You can edit it, you can save it, and we'll get into a little bit more help as to how you can edit these files and where you need to edit the files, either online, on your local, on your Edison. But having it on your local computer to be able to do the search functions really helps if you're looking at customizing, learning the code and how it behaves, or also error messages. Frequently the error message is generated by the file, and if you can go to the file, you might have a little bit better idea of why that error message is popping up and how to deal with it. So that's useful tip number one, I guess. But let's go back and take a look at the other way you can bring things from GitHub to your local computer. So the download is a really rudimentary version. Basically, you're taking stuff from online, putting it on your computer, but you have no intention of ever going back up online and interacting with that source area again. GitHub is designed to actually, the whole purpose for it is to be a distributed way of people to collaborate and push information back and forth to each other to make the best end product available. So the big power of Git and GitHub is to push and pull information between people that are working remotely on the same project. So in order to do that, you do want to still bring things to your local computer, but you want a way to be able to interact with the online version and your local version. And so in order to do that, we don't do the download version, we're going to instead do the clone. So let's go ahead and do that. If instead of clicking on download zip, we instead copy this to the clipboard, this clone with HTTPS. You can copy that, and we're going to open up our terminal app. So you can go to Applications, Utilities, Terminal, and you can open that up. I'm going to expand the view here so it's a little bit larger font. And you can say git clone, and then you paste the website address of what you want to bring to your local computer. So the git tells it that it's a particular set of commands. You bring those git clone in, and it tells you what it's doing. It's cloning them, basically downloading them. And the difference is, though, that where it's going is not to the downloads. You'll notice there's no download happening. Where it's going is it's creating a folder here where it's specified. So I'm at my user iMac 4K, which if you're in Finder, you can see it here, iMac 4K, or alternatively, if you don't have that, you can click your home button, and that will tell you. So I'm at users iMac 4K. It's downloading. I'm going to pause the video to give it a chance. Okay, so it is done with the downloading for Loop app, Loop code. And we're going to go, like I said, it downloaded, excuse me, to the root directory of my user account here. iMac 4K is my user account. You can see this. If you are ever curious where you are in your navigation on terminal, you can do pwd, and that will show you what your pathway is. Users iMac 4K, users iMac 4K, users iMac 4K. So you can see all of that. And that is exactly where Loop got deposited. Was this git clone just created this file, this folder called Loop, because it matches the name of what you were downloading. But the cool part is that it also includes these little hidden files here. You won't see those hidden files. I just happen to have set up my environment so that you could see them. I've shown my hidden files here. These Git files control the tracking of information. When a change is made on one, you can push the change to the other. So in other words, the online gets a change, you can pull it to your local, and alternatively, you can take changes on your local version of it and push it back up to the remote version online. For example, let's take a look at this, the loop directory. So you'll notice I am not in the loop directory that I just cloned. So let's go ahead and change into that directory. cd loop. I have now changed into that directory. I can confirm I've changed by looking at the navigation again, users iMac 4K loop, and I can see that is where I am here. So users iMac 4K loop. So again, grounding the pathway, the directions of where you are on your computer and your file system really helps sort of as you're learning Git. So now I'm in this loop directory. This is a Git environment, as they call it. Since I'm in a Git environment, it means all of the Git commands will work. If I were to do, if I were to go backwards a directory and try a Git command, Git branch, it would tell me some error message like, this is not a Git repository. And basically that means it's not set up to remotely communicate or connect to anything online in GitHub. So I have to be in that loop directory. And now I can do git commands. For example, if I wanted to see where this git matches up to, I could do git remote v. And it tells me that this information, that fetching, so where it's pulling from is from this directory, and where it's going to push to is back up to that origin loopkit .git. So that's pretty cool. It gives you all of those ideas. Let's say that you said, oof, I don't want to do that. Normally you're going to want to have your own version of things because you won't be able to push or pull against this directory. You don't have the rights to be able to do that, nor do you on OpenAPS. So that's why you do things like fork copies onto your own version. So that is my forked copy. So let's say you want to change that. You can do something really simple like deleting this. This is a really easy way. You can move it to the trash, and you can instead clone your copy of it, which is really the way you're going to want to do it, is working on yours. And this time I'll clone it. I'm going to pause it for a second so that you don't have to watch the download happen. Be right back. All right, so it's all downloaded, and I can see here now that I have another loop folder. It's here, it's in the same place, it downloaded, but this time, if I change into that directory and I do the pathway command, I can see I'm in that directory, that's good, and I can now do git remote v to see, and now I can see that it's actually working off of my fork of loop, which is good because if I'm going to push and pull changes or do any customizations, I'm going to want to do them on my version of things, my fork of it. So what are these git commands? I tried to write up, and it will be posted in my GitHub account there, some of these useful ones. So for example, git clone is the thing that will start you off on getting copies to your local environment, not using a download. And then don't forget to navigate into the Git folder itself by using cd. So just like we did here, we're going to cd loop. After we clone it, you move into that directory using change directory command cd. We just did one where we said we're showing the push and pull. Another one you could do is say git branch, which shows which branch you're on. So this is actually pretty interesting, is that when you clone the repository, it always defaults to the master branch. If you want to use a different branch, you have to tell it you want to move to a different branch. And so to know which branches are available, you can do these commands over here. For example, git branch -r will tell you all of the branches that are available over on GitHub on the origin, the remote one. So the -r is like remote. And I can see here that if I click on my branches, it shows all of my branches and they'll match up. Alpha, Basal profiles, beta, bump version, dev, all of these listed are shown on here. They're all available. And so that makes sense. The other commands that you could do is you could do git branch, git branch A is all of them available. So you can create branches locally that will only exist on your computer. And when I say local, I mean on your computer versus over on your account on GitHub. So your computer is your local environment. Your GitHub account is your remote environment. And so remotes, that's all far away. That's in the origin. Local is going to be here on your computer. If you want to, let's say you want to do something on your dev branch. Let's say you want to see code that's on your dev branch. Here's something that's really interesting. If you open this project Right now we're on the master branch. I want to show you something here. Close this out. If you open this project while you're on the master branch locally, you can confirm that you are actually on the master branch. You can see this 1.5.2. That's the current local or current master branch. Great. Now let's close this out and let me show you what happens if we change to the dev branch. And notice I'm not changing anything over here in the finders. I'm just going to change it over in terminal. I'm going to say git checkout dev. And basically it says, okay, locally I've just set up a branch called dev, and it's going to track remote branch dev from origin. So it's saying, all right, locally I just created a little branch so that any of the changes you do here are going to track over there. Let's open this up again and take a look. If you notice, now it says 1.5.3 dev. And yet I didn't do anything except check out the dev branch. So this system of Git and having it cloned is really like remotely operating your GitHub website, but on your local computer. So when you track and change branches here locally, things are changing in the Finder that you don't see. So unlike the download, which very clearly labels loop-dev and loop.master, when you're in your cloned environment, you're not going to see those kinds of really obvious indicators of what branch you're on or where you are. So there's a lot of commands that you can enter that help you navigate and get that information. So git branch will show you what branch you're on. It'll put a little asterisk next to the local branch that you're on. You can do things like git remote v to find your bearings and know where you're coming from going to. This is an interesting one, git log -v, v standing for verbose, tell me a lot. It tells you basically what your commit you're on and where you are. This will tell you whether or not also you're out of date with a remote branch or something like that. Let's do Q to quit. Let's do CD to go back to my root directory. So now I'm back at this directory. I have cloned a bunch of other repositories that I work with a lot. So for example, orf0, let's change into my orf0. If I changed into that directory, so now I'm in there, I can use the up arrow key to go back a couple commands. And I can see here that actually I have not pulled an update of my orf0 directory since roughly November 25th. It's been a long time since I updated that. So if I want to update that directory, and I can go on here and say, you can look on orf0 and you can see the commit history. It gets a lot of commits on master branch, quite a bit. Oh, I don't even actually know which branch I'm on. So let's see which branch I'm on. I'm on master. And I can see that master did have one thing committed, and I can go ahead and I can do that. I can say git pull. And a lot of changes have happened since then. One of the things is that there was an update here for one commit, and then also the branches changed a whole bunch. There's a new branch, a new branch, a new branch, and all of this has happened. So now I can do my git log, and now I can see that I've pulled in this commit. So I've updated my master branch. If I do Q to quit, I can change branches. I'm going to check out the dev branch, and it tells me my dev branch is 94 commits behind. I can fast forward, use git pull to get my local branch up to date. So if I do git pull, it tells me all of the files that were changed. I can see how many things were taken away, all that kind of stuff. But yep, I definitely want to update it. And now I could also check out and see if I'm current on this one. If I go to dev online, the last commit or change to the code online was revert fixed handling of dates, so we're not comparing time. And I now am all up to date. I can go ahead and check that. So I can do a queue and quit. So I think this is a good example, a good starting video for sort of moving around and what the differences are between downloading the code here and cloning the code using git clone. Using git clone will give you a linked version between what's on your local environment with what's on your remote GitHub account. Let's see, I actually don't know where this one tracks to. I don't remember if I cloned it from my account or OpenAPS's account. So yes, I cloned this from the official account. This isn't my fork of it. So if I were to make any changes, let's say I went over here and I said, let's look at that log, the shortcut, or zero bin log shortcuts. Let's say I wanted to make a change to this, and instead of using Nano for Wi-Fi, I wanted to use the Vi editor. I could say, I'm going to change this, I'm going to make that Vi. And so now I've made the change. This is great. I'm going to use the Vi instead of Nano, and I want to save the change. I'll save it. In Xcode, there's this really cool thing. I'm going to move this up here so you can see it. It's called source control. And if I wanted to make the change and have it go back up into my GitHub account, I would go source control commit. You write a commit message, changed, edit, Wi-Fi to use Vi editor. And so commit makes the change locally. It saves the change locally into this folder here, this Git folder for RF0 that commits it. But the other thing you can do at the same time, if you click this button, is you can push it. So I can write it to the local and also push it up to the remote repository at the same time. So I can go ahead and do that. And what it's going to tell me is I have to enter my login info for that repository. And I'll tell you, it's going to fail because I don't have permissions for that. And it's going to give me an unexpected code, which is good. See? So you can't mess up Dana and Scott's or Pete's or Loop's or anybody's repository because you won't have permissions to do that. But if I was on my own repository, I could do that. For example, my loop is set up to mine. So let's say you made that change and you say, oh my gosh, I messed up, I don't want to do it. You can do this other command, git stash, which says, okay, you don't have any local changes to save. And the reason why is because I got that error message, it never committed and it didn't save. But let's say you do want to push something. Maybe I'll save that for the next video. Yeah, let's save that. So let's go ahead and end this video and just say that's the beginnings of git clone and how it works, and sort of getting an idea of coming to your user base account, finding that git clone folder, changing branches, and navigating that way. And the next one, we'll start doing a little bit more advanced work as well. All right, thanks for bearing with me. See ya.